Is it a sign of the times? You have Senator Tammy Baldwin. She's a Democrat from Wisconsin. She's now announced that she's not going to campaign with President Biden when he visits Wisconsin on Friday of this week. This is the latest example of a vulnerable Democrat who is looking to raise money and shore up support in her state and get voters on board for her campaign. Seeing President Biden as someone who's toxic and, at very minimum, not someone you want to be seen on stage with in case he falls or has a brain flub or possibly doesn't know where he is and wanders off. Now, Baldwin is facing a competitive Senate race in the fall. What's interesting about this is that this is just like a little announcement. They just slipped it into the news. What they did was they were talking to Axios's Stephen Newcomb, and they just mentioned that she's just not going to be with Biden while he's in the state on Friday. Instead, she will be at her Fired Up for Tammy bus tour. It's a Fired Up for Tammy tour. That's what it's called. And the bus travels across the state. Tammy is on it, and it gives regular Americans in the state an opportunity to meet with her, sit on the bus, get refreshments. It's something that most campaigns now engage in. You get the tour bus and you travel, and it brings you closer to your constituents who then remember you. They remember meeting you and your staff, and it cements their desire to vote for you and to tell other people why they're voting for you. Now, this news comes as Democrats continually seem to be distancing themselves from President Biden after his disastrous debate performance last week. And Washington Free Beacon reached out to try to get comment on this, and they did not have a return on that. So you have Democrat Senators John Tester from Montana, Sherrod Brown from Ohio, who are also both facing tough reelection battles, conspicuously avoiding media questions about whether Biden should drop out. They seem to be absolutely unwilling to comment on it. They just don't want to have to weigh in. Now, other Democrats are actually weighing in, vocally calling for President Biden to step aside. Congressman Lloyd Doggett from Texas on Tuesday said that President Biden should follow the example of former President Lyndon Johnson, who declined to run for re-election in 1968. The appeal to authority, the history. Yeah. Do you think that's going to work? Do you think President Biden is sitting around with his 2 scoops of ice cream and his cup of milk in front of the fire in the Oval Office and saying, you know what? I just heard that Doggett, he says, and others, Doggett, he doesn't want me to run anymore. I guess I won't. Do you think he's actually sitting around and thinking about what these congressmen are saying about him? So Baldwin's campaign spokesman said the senator still supports the president, but stressed that she's running her own race for the people of Wisconsin. Baldwin's Republican opponent, businessman Eric Hovde, called the senator's attempt to avoid Biden a desperate move. In less than a month, Senator Baldwin has gone from saying she's proud to vote with President Biden 95.5% of the time to dodging the president when he visits her hometown. Now, Hovde's spokesman is Zach Bannon, and he issued that as a part of his statement, continuing on to say, it is a desperate and selfish move from a 38-year-old politician that prioritizes her political career over the concerns of Wisconsinites. Now, this Wisconsin Senate race is one of the most competitive in the country and could decide control of the upper chamber for next year. And I see a lot of the Democrats who are running, they're running in Florida, places across the country. And in their ads, they say, my race could determine the control of the Senate. Now, I guess that's technically true. But then again, is this the race that'll actually make the difference? I don't know. What I do know is that when they start distancing themselves, it's not so much that they don't want to be seen on stage with President Biden. They may not. But what they're doing is they're sending a message to the party that they're no longer on board campaigning with this person. And when it's the person at the top of the ticket and the convention is still weeks away, the party has some serious decisions to make. And that's why we're seeing them drop little items in the news about Biden. Biden is now seriously questioning his own candidacy. No, he's not. He's not questioning anything. He's asleep. But they're dropping these little leaks into the media to prepare us for what's to come. It looks like a change is on the horizon. Oh my gosh, what comes next? Now, up next on the show, we'll be talking about the evangelical vote. NRB President and CEO Troy Miller is with me up next. We'll be right back.